Hello, this is Mahlena Ray Johnson with For Nerdy Girls with Mahlena Ray Johnson. And today's topic is you can see things other people can't. Oh, what am I supposed to do next? It's May 30th, 2018. And then I'm going to introduce myself one more time for people who don't know for some reason, but you're still watching this video. I am still Mahlena Ray Johnson, and I went to Loyola Marymount University for film school. I went to University of Southern California for business school, where I got my MBA in marketing, entertainment, and entrepreneurship. And over the past decade, I have conducted hundreds of informational interviews and coffee chats. I've attended hundreds of networking events and conferences. I've connected with thousands of people all over the world, on every continent except for Antarctica. So penguins, you're next. So I am immensely qualified to help you with connecting with other people and networking in business. So today's topic, again, is you can see things that other people can't. Mahlena, that's me, explains how watching Only the Strong, starring the chairman from Chopped, Mark Dacascos, and after listening to a We Hate Movies podcast episode, changed her perspective on marketing and networking for women. Let's start at the beginning. You who is watching this video can see things that other people can't. It is a little easier. I remember when I was blogging, I started blogging in 2006, and I felt like I had to comment on everything I was watching in pop culture because there was so much stuff that was out there, specifically with TV shows for the most part, because I wasn't listening to podcasts at this point, and on movies that I saw that no one else was writing about because people weren't writing about pop culture when I started blogging. Now people write constantly on Twitter, on Facebook, in actual publications about everything they see that other people don't. So it's a lot easier to find your perspective on a specific topic because there's so many people writing about it. Not all the time, because I still can't find people talking about Club de Cuervos because Netflix does not promote Club de Cuervos. It's a show on Netflix about football. But now there's a lot more opportunity to see your perspective being talked about and being heard by other people. However, there are still times when you have a perspective that other people don't know about or haven't thought about or haven't shared, but that perspective puts you in a place of unique opportunity. So I'm going to talk to you about something very specific. It's a very specific thing. It's a very specific podcast about a very specific movie, and most people will be like, what is it? What are you even talking about? So let's start from the beginning. I watched Only the Strong, which is a movie from the 90s about capoeira. And capoeira is a Brazilian martial art that involves a lot of kicking. And I learned more about it not when I went to Brazil, oddly enough, but when I watched this Henry Louis Gates thing about I think it was about racism in different countries and ancestry of different countries in Brazil, and I didn't like the topic because it just wasn't as well researched as I would have liked a show about colorism and slavery and discrimination in Brazil to be done, because it was like you're missing a whole lot of points, and it was so crazy. But the thing that I learned was that capoeira was a martial art developed by enslaved Black people in Brazil to teach each other how to defend themselves and to have a way to develop a revolution and a rebellion without the people who ran the plantations really knowing that this is a martial art. So it's very, there's a dance aspect to it, so it just looks like you're dancing, but then there are ways to make it into an actual martial art. So this is the movie Only the Strong is about, but it takes place in Miami. And it stars Mark Dacascos, who is currently portraying the chairman on Chopped on, I'm not sure what network It's about food. So We Hate Movies is a podcast. And years ago, not like 10 years ago, but like a few years ago, probably 2012, they did a podcast episode on Only the Strong, which is an obscure movie because it came after The Karate Kid and that whole surf ninjas and this whole craze of now we're done with white guy karate. What else can we do? How about Brazilian guy karate? And I've listened to the episode. I've listened to the episode probably tens of times, scores of times at this point. And it's really funny. I hadn't seen the movie in its entirety. I hadn't heard of the movie until they talked about it. And the point that I'm trying to make is that they talked about this obscure movie with this guy, Mark Dacascos, who's also in Double Dragon with Scott Wolf. And they had a very, they ended up recommending the movie. They really liked it and they thought it was funny and I thought it was funny and I thought them talking about it was funny. And then I finally watched the whole movie last night and saw, oh my gosh, they really were missing out a whole aspect of this movie. They talked about the Jamaican drug lords and the Brazilian drug trade who came from the streets of Rio de Janeiro and knows capoeira, and somehow all these people know capoeira, but in Miami and the different racial aspects of these white people talking about the dad school that Mark Dacascos, who is the star of the movie, comes to take over and try to teach 12 boys capoeira. They missed the part that they really missed I mean, they got a lot of stuff, but the thing that they missed was that Mark Dacascos, then in the movie was like, oh my gosh, and he's still like, wow. But when I watched him, I was like, oh my goodness, that the man does not have his shirt on for half the movie, and he is he's not just strong, he is just, it's as if someone got a Hulk suit, shrunk it a little, and then said, okay, now you're Mark Dacascos. It's incredible. It's like his whole chest is like, it's dripping, and like someone sprayed a bottle on him, and he's doing all these moves, and he's the star, and he's a good person. It's like, how did you miss that part of the movie? Three white heterosexual gentlemen. I mean, now they're definitely in their podcast. They do talk about the attractiveness of the other gentlemen in the movies that they discuss. They don't say that they review movies. I mean, they do at the end, but they missed the whole aspect of, even though this movie is for dudes, by dudes, about dudes, there's a whole like aspect of the movie that I'm sure was not marketed as, oh, look at these hot guys, because that's what White Squall was. And I've never seen the whole movie of White Squall, but that's what that movie was. It starred Ryan Phillippe and a bunch of other teenage-ish 20-something white guys that were on a boat and getting wet all the time, and it was like, look at these guys, they're hot. People watch the movie. This movie was like, it's capoeira fighting. I'm like, did you miss the aspect of all the heterosexual ladies and probably gay gentlemen and other people who are attracted to very chiseled gentlemen who do good? They just didn't talk about that at all. And I was like, how did you miss all of that? Because there are other people in the movie too. And then there was Silverio. So that covers the hot or not. There's Silverio, who is the villain of the movie. He is a Brazilian drug lord. And they emphasize in the podcast, the We Hate Movies people do. So it was Eric, Andrew, who's on every podcast, and Steve, that Silverio was huge, and he's Andre the Giant's taller cousin. And I watched the movie. He's not that big. I mean, he's a big gentleman, but he's not The Rock big. The Rock is huge. The Rock is huge. This gentleman would be like, oh, The Rock is huge. So there's another aspect of that. And then, hey, it's that guy from Murder, She Wrote. So there's a guy who plays Kerrigan. I don't know his name. I just looked him up. But he plays Mr. Kerrigan, who is the teacher who used to teach Mark Dacascos' character, Lewis, and now is just fed up and can't deal with it. But then Lewis comes back and he saves the day, and then Mr. Kerrigan's like, oh my gosh, you got these kids to pay attention. He is a character. Well, he has passed on. He was a character actor who was played in the the IMDb was so long that I had to search through to find the 4 Murder She Wrote he was in. I was like, oh, he was in 4. I just remember him from 1. He was in so much stuff that they didn't notice because they were probably watching movies, not TV. He was so much stuff, and I was like, I immediately saw him. I was like, hey, it's that guy. But they didn't say, hey, it's that guy. They're like, Mr. Kerrigan. So those are the 3 things that I noticed. There are some other things, like the fact that someone does die in this movie, and it's not any of the multiple black characters in the movie. There are multiple black characters. Well, there's 2 that have lines, and then there aren't that many people with lines. And there's 1 woman with lines in this movie, and then the other one, there are no other women featured in the movie who actually do. There's some, and then they disappear. There's only 1 woman with any lines in the movie, which is also a crazy thing that they didn't mention because they didn't notice. My point is that these are things that stood out to me immediately. Like, Mark Dacascos is hot now. Still could get it. Still would hit. But then it was like, whoa. Watch the movie and you'll see. That's something they didn't notice. They didn't notice that The Rock isn't so much bigger than Silverio. And that guy is not just some guy. He's like major. Of course, I can't remember his name, but I see him and I'm like, so what are something that you can see immediately that other people don't see? And how is it valuable? The value is that this movie could have been a lot bigger, and it's not like We Hate Movies did their part by actually telling me about it, but it could have been a lot bigger if they had just said, hey, ladies and girls, look at what's going on this screen. Now come see the movie. That was all it would have taken. Just and I'd be like, oh, let's go see this movie. In who you are and what you do and what you're marketing, there are people who have lots of ideas, and especially when you're going out networking. But there's things that you will see that other people won't, that are so valuable, and it may seem strange to you that they haven't said that, but they don't have that perspective. I'm sure that the We Hate Movies people just said, oh, this is a fun movie with kicking, and that was it. They didn't understand the full aspect of how it would affect women and girls who saw the movie, because the guys, some of the guys who are the high school players, they're not really high schoolers, are very attractive too. So what are some ways that you see the world that other people haven't seen, or maybe they do see but they haven't said anything? How can you bring more of that into your life, seeing things from a perspective that you have that other people haven't? And how can you use that to your advantage? How can you use that in what you're marketing, either yourself or to get new clients? What are things that you see that other people don't, that are valuable to you? I want you to think about that. And then tell me, put it in the comments if you're on Facebook, or email me at fornerdygirls@gmail.com. I keep trying to make these videos 10 minutes or less, but I get so excited about things. So email me at fornerdygirls@gmail.com and tell me about the things you see that other people don't see that you think are incredibly valuable. Because I'm pretty sure if this was marketed the right way, it would have doubled its box office by just saying, hey, women, come see this movie. What's something that you think you could contribute to, either monetarily or otherwise, by the perspective that you have that you know other people don't have because of what you're seeing or hearing or feeling? Tell me by leaving a comment or email me at fornerdygirls@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a further conversation about things you see that other people don't, I mean, if you want to talk about ghosts, maybe not, but if there's other things that you think, oh my gosh, I should have this conversation because I have these ideas and I don't know how to map them out, but I think Mahlena could help. If you think I can help you, then email me at fornerdygirls@gmail.com and we will have a conversation about networking strategy, personal branding, whatever you think you have inside of you that you are ready to share with the world and make it beneficial to you. Whether you want to attract friends or clients or coworkers or new opportunities, email me at fornerdygirls@gmail.com. We'll have a conversation. It'll be 15 minutes long. You talk, I write stuff down, and we make a plan for you to initiate immediately. Again, that's for nerdygirls@gmail.com. Email me, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.